Alex was tired. It was just another long shift at the intergalactic transit hub. Known to most as Earthport, the place was loud, messy, and full of strange smells. Aliens from all across the galaxy came here, waiting for flights, cargo ships, or just trying to get somewhere far away. Alex worked at Terminal 7, the smallest and quietest part of the station. He liked it that way, less trouble, fewer questions. But today, something felt different. At 3:47 p.m., he noticed them, 3 small figures standing near the wall, silent. They weren't like any species he had seen before. Each of them was about the size of a human child, with silver blue skin and large round eyes that glowed faintly. Their clothes looked torn and dusty, like they had been traveling for weeks. They had no bags, no ID tags, no translator chips blinking on their collars. Just silence and staring. Alex blinked, then walked over to them slowly. "Hey there," he said, trying to sound calm. "Are you lost?" The tallest one looked up, blinking twice. Then the smallest stepped forward, voice soft but clear. "We don't have money for the tickets, human, but we'll compensate you." Alex froze. He looked around, checking if someone was watching. A port security droid floated nearby but didn't react. Alex turned back to them, confused. "What do you mean compensate? You don't even have a travel card." The middle child pointed toward the departures board. A cargo shuttle was leaving in 20 minutes. Destination: Sector 19. It was a remote place, barely any traffic there. "Please," the smallest one said again. "We must return, or it will be too late." Alex rubbed his forehead. He knew the rules. No ticket, no ride. Especially not for unregistered aliens, but something in their eyes made him pause. It wasn't fear, it was hope, desperate and shining. "Where are your parents?" he asked. "Gone," the eldest replied, simply. Alex swallowed hard. He didn't need more trouble. But this felt wrong. He opened his personal tablet and checked the shuttle's details. There were empty supply seats on board, and the captain was an old friend. He could sneak them on as cargo assistants if he really wanted to. Still, he hesitated. "Why me?" he asked quietly. The smallest alien stepped closer and raised a small hand to Alex's chest. "Because you looked at us with soft eyes." Alex blinked, surprised by the words. Something in his chest tugged. "All right," he said, almost whispering. "I'll help you, but this stays between us." All 3 aliens nodded at once. Their glow brightened for a moment, and then dimmed again. He led them through a quiet hallway to the cargo bay. The ship was old and rusty but functional. Captain Marn, a retired trader, stood by the ramp, chewing on a metal toothpick. Alex gave him a quick nod. "3 helpers for your supply stack," he said, smiling like nothing was wrong. Marn raised an eyebrow but shrugged. "Fine by me, long as they don't touch my coffee machine." The kids followed Alex inside the ship, moving like shadows. Once inside, they sat down quietly near the storage crates. As the ship prepared for launch, the smallest one turned to Alex again. "Thank you," they said, and reached into a small pouch tied to their belt. They pulled out a tiny glowing crystal, no larger than a seed. They placed it gently into Alex's hand. "This is your compensation." The moment Alex touched it, he felt something strange. A warmth, then a cold wave, then silence inside his head. A second later, a whisper echoed in his mind, not in words, but feelings. He couldn't understand it, but he knew something inside him had changed before he could ask. The ship's engines roared to life, the ramp closed, and the cargo shuttle lifted off, disappearing into the stars. Alex stood there alone, the crystal still in his hand. Suddenly, the lights above him flickered. His tablet buzzed with a strange alert. "Unauthorized genetic signal detected. Report to control." And deep in the hallway behind him, something moved in the shadows. Whatever had just happened, it wasn't over. Not by a long shot. It started when Alex tried to sleep that night. He had barely closed his eyes when a strange light filled his room. Not from outside, not from any screen or device. It came from inside his head. And then he heard it, a voice. Gentle, distant, and not human. Compensation process initiated. Alex sat up, heart racing. He looked at his hands, half expecting the glowing crystal to be there again. But it was gone, locked in a drawer. Still, the warmth from it remained in his skin like a soft burn, and the voice. It was back, you accepted human, and now you carry the key. Alex jumped out of bed, breathing hard. He looked in the mirror, checking his face, his eyes, his skin. Everything looked normal, but nothing felt normal anymore. He was still. Wearing the same shirt from the port, still in the same apartment, but the world had changed around him, silently. His tablet buzzed again. Another strange alert. Signal echo detected. Origin Sector 19. Sector 19. That was where the alien kids had gone. What was happening to him? The next day at the spaceport, Alex kept to himself. He avoided the security bots, skipped lunch, and ignored the captain's call. Something in his chest was pulling him forward, like a magnet towards something hidden. Every screen he passed flickered. When he walked by, elevator doors opened before he pressed the button, and sometimes, he swore he heard soft voices whispering his name in languages he didn't know. Then came the visitor around midnight. Terminal 7 was empty. Only cleaning drones floated quietly in the background. Alex was checking system logs when a shadow fell across the counter. He looked up and saw a figure standing there tall, wrapped in silver armor, no face visible. Its voice came from a speaker on its chest. You have been compensated. It said, give it back. Alex stood slowly, cold sweat forming on his neck. I didn't take anything, he replied, trying to sound calm. You helped the heirs of Solari, the figure said. That makes you a link, a carrier. Alex didn't understand, but the name hit something inside his memory. Solari, that was the word he had seen in one of his dreams, glowing on a silver throne. The armored figure took a step forward. Give it back or be erased. But before Alex could speak, something inside his chest glowed. The crystal, though not in his hand, was alive. A pulse of light shot out from his body, throwing the figure backward into the wall. It growled like a machine in pain, then vanished in a shimmer of sparks. Alex collapsed to the floor, breathing hard. What is happening to me? He whispered. A soft light appeared again, this time in front of him. It wasn't the crystal, but a projection. The smallest of the alien kids stood there, like a ghost made of stars. You accepted the deal. Human, it said. Now you must protect it. Alex stared at the image, confused and angry. Protect what? I didn't ask for this. The projection tilted its head. No one asks to be chosen, but you were kind. And the key chose you. Alex got to his feet, still shaking. So what do I do now? He asked, voice low. The projection pointed toward the stars visible outside the spaceport glass. You must come to Sector 19 and remember who we were. Remember? Alex asked. I've never even been there. The projection smiled. Not in this life. Then it vanished, leaving Alex alone once more. But now he wasn't just scared, he was curious. What did they mean by this life? Why was the crystal reacting to him? He opened his drawer and looked at the crystal again. It was no longer just glowing, it was pulsing, like a tiny heart. And somewhere far away, something had noticed him, something that was now awake. Alex didn't know what he had accepted, but compensation no longer felt like a gift. It felt like a door, one that couldn't be closed anymore. Outside, in the far edge of the galaxy, 3 stars blinked in perfect rhythm, waiting for the human, with soft eyes to remember what he had never known. The rain wasn't real, but it felt like it. Alex stood under a flickering dome light at the spaceport's edge, water dripping from his jacket. It was one of Earthport's atmosphere zones, made to make off-world visitors feel at home. But today, it felt like the world itself was trying to warn him. He wasn't alone anymore. Something was following him, and it wasn't human. It started 3 days after the crystal had pulsed. Alex noticed shadows moving where there was no light, Screens in the port glitched when he walked by. Security bots slowed down when scanning him, as if confused. One night, his reflection in the mirror blinked before he did. That's when he knew he was being watched. He tried to keep working like normal. He smiled at passengers, scanned cargo codes, drank strong coffee, but every time he turned a corner, he expected someone to be there. Then came the message. No sender, no signal trail, just a single line flashing on his tablet. Stop helping them, or we'll stop you. He didn't even know who he was helping anymore. Were the alien kids really just refugees or something more? They had called themselves heirs, but heirs to what? Alex didn't get answers. He got a visitor. He was walking back home through Dock Lane, a quiet hallway near the lower decks. The lights were low. The air smelled of oil and old cargo. Then he heard footsteps, but not from behind. They came from above, from the vents. Before he could turn, something dropped in front of him. A tall figure, wrapped in dark armor, its eyes glowing red under the helmet. This one was different from the silver one, sleeker, faster, hungrier. Alex stepped back. Slowly, heart thudding. You have it, the voice said. Distorted like a broken radio, Alex said nothing. The figure leaned in close. The key doesn't belong to you, human, but it listens to you. Alex stayed quiet, hoping someone would come. No one did. Then the figure reached out, not to attack, but to scan him. A red beam crossed over Alex's chest, and the crystal in his pocket began to burn. But before it could finish, a burst of light exploded from the wall, knocking the hunter back. Alex turned and saw a shape standing in the smoke, another alien, but not a child. This one was tall, wrapped in armor made of vines and silver threads. Its voice was deep and calm. Back away, tracker. The boy is under protection. The red-eyed hunter hissed like steam and vanished in a blink. The armored stranger turned to Alex, scanning him up and down. You shouldn't be here alone, it said. Who are you? Alex asked, still shaking, a memory reborn. The alien said, I was sent when the heirs activated the bond. Alex didn't understand. Why me? Why choose a human? Because humans forget fear faster than most, the alien replied. And you showed mercy when others wouldn't have. Alex followed him down a hidden passage under the port. They reached an old storage chamber, empty and cold. There, the alien opened a small cube and showed Alex an old image. It was the kids, younger, smiling beside a tall throne made of light. They are not just children, the alien said. They are the last of Solari, a lost empire? Alex asked. Not lost, the alien said. Erased. Alex sat down slowly, trying to breathe. So the tracker wants the key because it opens more than doors, the alien replied. It can awaken what was hidden and end what should have died. The crystal in Alex's pocket pulsed again, warmer this time, like it was responding to his fear or his resolve. I didn't sign up for this, Alex muttered. But you did, the alien said gently. When you said yes. Suddenly, the ground shook slightly, and a warning flashed on the wall screen. Unknown craft entering Earthport Level 3. Access breach. They found you again, the alien said, standing quickly. Alex grabbed the crystal and stood too. What do I do now? He asked. The alien handed him a small device, a star-shaped beacon. Go to the outpost in Sector 19. The real answers begin there, Alex nodded, heart pounding. He ran toward the underground launch hangar as alarms began to echo through the halls behind him. The stranger stayed behind to hold off whoever or whatever was coming. As the hangar doors opened and the escape pod activated, Alex looked up at the stars. He wasn't just a terminal worker anymore. He was part of something ancient, something dangerous, and someone out there was hunting him for it. Alex opened his eyes to darkness. Cold, silent, endless darkness. No engine hum, no alarms, no voices. Just the soft sound of his own breath inside. The escape pod, and a blinking message floating in front of his eyes. Course unknown, drifting. He had escaped Earthport, but barely. The pod had launched just in time before the tracker reached him. Now, he was floating somewhere between known space and something older. His only company, the glowing crystal, pulsing calmly in his pocket like a heartbeat, and the silence. But silence didn't last long. "Human detected," said a soft female voice from the pod speaker. It wasn't the ship's system. It was something else, something not installed here. "Where are you?" Alex asked, looking around. A pause then. "I am everywhere, and I have been waiting." Suddenly, the stars outside shifted. The pod turned slowly, pulled by an invisible force. Ahead of him, through the front glass, something massive appeared. A ship, or maybe a station, but like nothing he had ever seen. It floated quietly in the void, shaped like a spiral shell with glowing rings spinning around it. Old, yet untouched by time, silent, but alive. "Welcome to the Solari Ark," the voice said. "You carry the key, and I am its guardian." Alex's pod docked gently without command. The door hissed open, revealing a long hallway lit with soft blue lights. He stepped inside, unsure if it was a trap or a rescue. But the crystal in his pocket was warm now, as if telling him, "Yes, go." So he walked inside the Ark. There was no crew, no noise, just machines quietly working in the walls, like insects under glass, and the voice guiding him. "Why did you bring me here?" Alex asked as he walked. "You need to understand what you carry," the voice said, "before others take it from you." He entered a round room with a glass floor. Underneath, a map of the galaxy spun in slow motion. Dots of light marked ancient cities, lost planets, forgotten empires. At the center was the Solari symbol, the same one the alien child had shown him. A sun wrapped in a spiral. "You hold a memory," the voice said. "Not a weapon, not a treasure, but a seed." "Seed for what?" Alex asked. "For rebirth," the voice replied. The Solari Empire did not die in war. They chose to vanish, to hide their knowledge from those who would misuse it. The heirs were scattered, hidden across the stars, too young to remember. "And I helped them without knowing," Alex whispered. "Yes," the voice said gently. "You showed kindness without condition," and the key responded. Alex sat down on the cold floor, head spinning. "I'm not special," he said. "I'm just a guy from Terminal 7. "Special people don't build empires," the voice replied. "Ordinary ones who do extraordinary things do." The room dimmed, and another image appeared. A memory recording. Alex saw the alien children running through halls of light, laughing. Then panic, alarms, ships exploding in the sky. The children were taken and hidden, their guardians gone, their past erased, and now, after so many years, they were returning, but only if Alex reached them. First, suddenly, the lights turned red. "Warning," the voice said. "A signal has followed your path, tracker." Alex asked. "Worse," the voice replied. "A collector." Before Alex could ask what that meant, the Ark began to shift. Walls moved, floors locked. The entire station was preparing to shut down. "You must go," the voice said quickly. "Take the path I opened for you." "But where?" Alex asked. "To the last signal from the heirs," the voice said. "Sector 19, the hollow planet." A small ship rose from the floor beside him, shaped like a crescent moon. Its cockpit opened, waiting for him. Alex climbed in without question. As the ship launched, he looked back at the Ark one last time. It shimmered, then vanished into folds of space, like it had never existed. Now, he was flying blind again, guided only by the voice in his head and a crystal in his hand. Stars moved past the glass like fireflies. The map showed only one word now: destination, hollow planet. Alex didn't know what waited there, but he had the feeling that the story wasn't about a lost empire anymore. It was about something being built, something new, and someone was ready to destroy it before it began. The stars weren't shining tonight. They were hiding behind smoke, behind fire, behind warships. From the cockpit of the crescent-shaped vessel, Alex watched the sky burn. Void Station was under attack. Not long ago, this place was a forgotten checkpoint between asteroid fields. Now, it was a battlefield. Ships from a dozen worlds floated like sharks, surrounding the old steel station, all hunting for one thing: the key and the man who carried it. Alex, the small ship, jolted as it passed through the defense grid. Alarms rang, lasers fired, and drones swarmed like angry bees. "Shields failing," said the soft AI voice. "We must land immediately. I didn't sign up for this." Alex muttered, gripping the controls. He dodged a blast that lit up the side of his ship. Through the chaos, a docking gate opened, just for him. Somebody inside was still on his side. The ship slid through, barely scraping the walls. Metal screeched, sparks flew, and then silence. Alex had arrived at Void Station. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and tension. Old corridors groaned under pressure. Lights flickered, and weapons clicked in the shadows. A group of survivors stood waiting for him. Humans, aliens, machines. Their leader was a woman in dark armor, her face hidden under a cracked visor. "You're late," she said, her voice sharp but steady. "You know me?" Alex asked, stepping out. "No," she said, "but the key knew you were coming." She led him through the station, explaining as they walked. Void Station was the last place where Solari tech remained untouched. Buried deep under its core was a beacon, a signal gate. If activated, it would awaken the heir's memory across the galaxy. But that's exactly what the enemy wanted to destroy. "They fear the return of Solari knowledge," the woman said. "It could unite lost systems, end corruption, change everything." Alex frowned. "And I'm supposed to be the spark?" She nodded once. "You already are." Suddenly, the wall exploded. Enemy drones swarmed in, sleek, silent, and deadly. The defenders jumped into action, firing plasma rifles, throwing shields, covering each other. Alex ducked behind a crate. Heart pounding, he wasn't a soldier. But when a drone flew straight at him, the crystal in his pocket glowed bright. A pulse shot out blue light, sharp and wide. The drone froze, shook, then dropped dead. Everyone stopped and stared at him. "I didn't mean to do that," Alex said, breathless. "No," the armored woman replied, "but it means the key is waking up." They fought their way to the lower level. Room by room, hallway by hallway, every few minutes another wave. Came hunters, trackers, collectors, but the deeper they went, the stronger the key's light became. Doors opened on their own. Machines responded to Alex's presence. The station itself was beginning to remember who it once served. At last, they reached the core chamber, a giant round room with a black platform floating in the center. Beneath it, nothing, just a pit of stars, open space, infinite. The platform lit up as Alex stepped forward. The crystal in his hand floated into the air, spinning, glowing. A voice filled the chamber, not the eye, not the woman, but a new voice. Gentle, ancient, and everywhere at once. Identity confirmed, carrier of mercy. "Alex of Earth, do you wish to activate the memory beacon?" Alex looked around, at the tired faces of soldiers and survivors, at the shaking walls, the smoke, the chaos. He remembered the kids, their glowing eyes, their hope, their fear. He thought of how it all began with just one small choice, one moment of kindness. "Yes," he said. "Activate it." The crystal burst into light. Waves of energy flowed out of the platform, into the station, then beyond, into space. Through satellites, through signals, through memory itself. Every hidden air, every sleeping archive, every forgotten truth awakened. In faraway corners of the galaxy, people stopped and listened, as something old returned to life, back on Void Station. The enemy ships began to fall back, their systems failing, their orders confused. They hadn't expected the beacon to succeed. They hadn't prepared for the return of Solari. The woman removed her helmet, revealing tired eyes and a small smile. "You did it," she whispered. Alex stood still, the light fading around him. He didn't feel powerful, he just felt human. But that was enough. The war wasn't over yet. But now the galaxy knew the truth, and somewhere in deep space, the heirs were watching, ready to come home. Asterisk. There was no door, no lock, no wall, no metal to push open, just a pulse of feeling that led Alex forward. The others had stayed behind, guarding the station, repairing the damage. But he had to go alone. Only the key could open what lay ahead. He stepped onto a floating platform, and it moved slowly, silently into the dark core of the station. There was no sound, no gravity, no time. Just him and the light of the crystal, glowing brighter with each breath he took. Then everything stopped. The air thickened, the silence deepened, and a voice whispered, not in his ears, but in his thoughts, "Welcome, carrier. You have come to the final door." A sphere unfolded before him, like a flower made of stars. Inside was a room unlike anything he had ever seen. Walls made of memory shifting, glowing, living. Scenes floated around him like ghosts. Not images but feelings, not videos but truths. This was the memory chamber of the Solari, the place where an entire civilization had stored its soul. Alex walked through light and shadow, and each step unlocked a new moment. He saw the rise of Solari, how they had once been explorers, peacekeepers, dreamers. He saw their cities, built on harmony, on knowledge, on trust between species. But then, he saw the betrayal, a powerful race, jealous of the Solari's influence, turned against them. War came not with fire, but with lies. Alliances broken, history rewritten, and so the Solari chose to disappear, not to win, but to protect their future. They erased themselves, scattered their young, locked their knowledge in beacons hidden across the stars. Alex watched as a council of Solari elders stood around a glowing map. One of them looked straight at him, eyes filled with sorrow and hope. "We do not trust tomorrow," she said, "but we trust the kindness of strangers." That's when he understood. The heirs had not just picked him randomly. They had been waiting for someone like him, someone ordinary, but willing to help without asking anything in return. A door opened inside the chamber, leading to a small bridge floating over empty space. At the center was a crystal throne, pulsing softly. Alex walked toward it, feeling the weight of galaxies pressing down on his shoulders. He sat on the throne, and the room shifted again. Now, it showed him himself, not the past, not the Solari, but his own life. Moments he had forgotten. The time he gave his last food coupon to a hungry traveler. The day he stayed late at the port to help an old alien find her missing luggage. The smile he gave those 3 strange kids when everyone else had looked away. Small things, forgotten things, but the memory chamber had remembered. "Compensation is complete," the voice said softly. "Now the choice is yours." A screen lit up in front of him, showing 2 paths. Awaken the Solari, bring back their knowledge, their heirs, their influence, or erase it forever. Bury the past, let the galaxy grow without their return. Alex felt the crystal hum in his hand. It wasn't giving him power, it was asking for guidance. A key doesn't rule, it opens. But what should it open? He closed his eyes and thought about the war outside, about the people who had helped him, the friends he never expected to make. He thought of the alien children, scared, brave, trusting him with everything. They didn't want thrones, they wanted hope, a chance to exist without hiding. Alex opened his eyes, reached toward the first option, and whispered, "Let them come home." The chamber lit up in gold, warm and endless. The crystal in his hand shattered into light and disappeared into the stars. And for the first time, Alex felt peace, not because he had ended something, but because he had started something new. A voice echoed one last time, soft and full of pride. "Well done, human. The memory remembers you." As the chamber faded and the bridge pulled him back to the station, Alex knew the galaxy would never be the same again, and neither would he. The stars held their breath. Across the galaxy, a silence spread, not from fear, but from waiting, as if space itself knew something was returning, something lost, something ancient, something alive. At the edge of Sector 19, above a planet long buried in darkness. The sky cracked open. A wave of golden light rippled through space. Soft but strong, every ship, every station, every being who looked up at that moment saw it a spiral sun rising, not from a star, but from memory, and with it, they came. The heirs of Solari. They did not arrive in warships. They came in vessels made of light and energy, shaped like dreams. Their voices sang through frequencies that touched not the ears, but the heart, not to rule, not to conquer, but to return. Alex stood at the edge of the landing platform on Void Station, his face lit by the glow in the sky. He had no crown, no armor, no army. But every being on that station looked at him like a leader, because he was the first to say yes, the first to choose mercy. The first to carry the key, the first of the airships landed gently, unfolding like a flower on metal. From its step the three children, no longer afraid, no longer hiding. They were older now, taller, eyes brighter, but still the same souls he had helped at Terminal 7. The smallest one ran to him and smiled. "You remembered us." "I never forgot," Alex said. Voice rough but steady, the child reached out and placed a new crystal in his hand, not a weapon, not a tool, but a symbol. "This is not compensation," she said. "This is thanks." The others followed, more ships, more heirs, more voices rising in harmony. Across systems, old monuments lit up again, lost knowledge reawakened, diseases cured, power shared, borders erased not by force, but by understanding. The galaxy changed, not because the heirs were powerful, but because they returned with humility, with memory and mercy. The enemies who once chased them, those who feared their rise vanished into shadows, not because they were destroyed, but because they no longer had power over truth. On Void Station, a gathering began: leaders, scientists, historians, wanderers, even former hunters. Alex stood at the center, not as a commander, but as a bridge. He didn't speak like a hero. He spoke like a worker from Terminal 7, a man who once gave a free ride to 3 lost kids, and that was enough. He told the story, not of war, but of kindness, not of battles, but of choices, not of saving the galaxy, but reminding it of what it could be. And when he finished, the oldest of the heirs, wearing robes woven with stardust, bowed to him, not as a ruler, but as a brother. "You reminded us who we were," he said. "And more importantly, you reminded us who we could be." The galaxy did not celebrate with fireworks. It celebrated in quiet moments. A child learning in a Solari classroom, a doctor using forgotten tech to heal a rare illness, a diplomat ending a war with words instead of weapons. Alex returned to Earth weeks later. The spaceport was still noisy, still chaotic, still home. He walked through Terminal 7 and smiled. Same old hallway, same blinking lights. But now, everything had changed. Not because the galaxy had been rebuilt, but because people had remembered how to care. As he sat back at his old desk, a worker bot floated by and handed him a small envelope. Inside was a single note: "Compensation delivered, humanity upgraded." Alex laughed quietly, slipped the note into his pocket, and leaned back in his chair. Outside, a family of aliens waited at the gate, their children holding tickets too large for their hands. Alex stood up and walked over. "Need help?" he asked, smiling, and somewhere deep in the stars, 1,000 Solari beacons blinked one by one, not as warnings, but as a welcome. The heirs had returned, the key had been carried, and one human small act had unlocked a future no one had dared to imagine.